What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Hear From a Student podcast presented by Big Sis, which stands for Boldly Impacting and Growing Students in STEM. I am your host, Brianna Ivy. I'm a Georgia Tech alum and a current electrical engineer at GE Healthcare. As always, the goal of the Hear From a Student podcast is to embrace, encourage, and empower the next generation of great minds and underrepresented youth in STEM. In each episode of the podcast, we're going to get to hear from a student who studied a STEM field in their undergraduate or graduate studies and learn all about their journey as a STEM major.
So my name is Christopher McCrary. I go by Chris, and I'm a third-year architecture major.
Chris, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good.
That's good to hear. So, you came into Tech architecture. What made you decide architecture versus civil engineering?
I was always more interested into the design aspect of buildings. I'm not really, huge on math and science. And I know those are, core components of, designing, realistic ideas, but I was never really into the technical aspect of design, more so, how people would feel in the space, kind of the flow in design and the aesthetic of the building.
Okay. And so civil is the more technical aspect of design. Okay. What's your favorite thing about being an architecture major?
I feel like my favorite thing is to be able to kind of guide your own coursework. Here at Georgia Tech, a lot of the classes that we have, we're kind of given the freedom to, be as creative as we want. Of course, we're still taught, design principles, what needs to go in the building, things that the spaces we design need to achieve. But we're also given the creativity to be able to use design principles we learn in class to, create our own spaces without too much pushback from professors. But we're just kind of allowed to unleash our creativity into our work.
What is the most challenging part about being an architecture major?
I'll say the most challenging part is definitely commitment. There are long hours that come with being an architecture major, not just in class, but outside of class. It's also a bit expensive, having to, get materials for study models, building, physical models. You have to be really detail-oriented in your work, especially as you progress through school. So I'd say that's been the hardest thing that I've experienced, but overall, I think it's something that'll really help me further along once I graduate.
Right. What's been your favorite project that you've done? Or I know you spend a lot of time in studio working on designs and things like that. So what's been your favorite project or thing that you've designed?
I don't know if I have a favorite project. One project that I really did enjoy working on was last semester. We made kind of like a resort space, and we were actually able to visit the site that the resort would be built on in theory. So it was kind of good to see kind of more of the context of how we can incorporate site into, the things that we're building, and then ultimately make a project that I'm proud of. So I think that was the coolest project I've done.
That's cool. So when you walk around in like random places in Atlanta, do you look at the buildings and the spaces and apply like architecture, I guess, concepts and theories? So like, oh, this space could have been, or this design concept could have been used in this space and things like that?
Yeah, I try to separate school and life, but sometimes it kind of just, happens where I'm kind of noticing things. I'd say one thing that I do notice now is I'm more conscious of now that I'm studying architecture is accessibility. So, are there ramps, for people who might be physically handicapped? Is this space, big enough for people to kind of access and kind of flow through in a way where they're not crowded, they're not feeling too hot or cold, the light isn't, coming in a harsh way that makes it uncomfortable to sit down. I'm definitely more conscious of kind of how I feel in this space, and that kind of helps me with my design. So if I see something that I really like, in another building, then maybe I find a way to incorporate it into one of the projects that I'm working on. Or if it's something that I think is, kind of weird, I'll know, okay, I don't want my project to have any moments where it's like, weird area where there's nothing happening, or if it's just kind of like a weird looking design flaw or something.
Yeah. If you could pick one skill from a different major, what would it be?
If I could pick one skill from a different major, I would say maybe the technical savviness of like computer science or like computer related majors. Because in architecture, we have to work with programs to help with 3D modeling, analyzing like climate data, things like that, how it could affect our building. And I'm not very good at that, but I think that having maybe a CS related background will kind of help with me maybe understanding how some of the programs work better, and maybe even creating my own functions and programs and things like that down the road.
That's cool. Last question. Is there something, like, do you have a big goal or something that you want to be able to design, like once you're out of Georgia Tech? Like, I want to design this.
I would say that when it's all said and done, something that I really would like to design is, I guess it's a lot of stuff. I guess something that I would like to design, say that I had a big part in designing, is maybe like a big, like a community. With my I guess skill set, I want to end up designing communities for underserved people. So my ideal thing would be to design like a community where it's equal access to things such as schools, resources, food and things like that. But just I want it to have like a really communal feel. So whether that's right when I graduate from Georgia Tech or 50 years down the line, I do want to say that I've done something like that for a community.
Thank you so much, Chris.